30 seconds until airtime on the LSU Sports Radio Network.
It's game week for Fighting Tiger football. Welcome in to the LSU Football Press Conference, presented by the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation.
Remarkable day for our university, remarkable day for our football team that displayed resiliency, toughness, all the things that make us Tigers.
Senior Day at Tiger Stadium coming up this weekend as LSU steps out of conference to take on the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky for just the third time in Tiger football history.
Van Buren takes the snap, steps out of trouble, moving to his right, throws on the run, back of the end zone, Bauer sharp, his feet are in, he makes the catch, touchdown, Fighting Tigers!
Coming up, interim head coach Frank Wilson discusses the latest on your Tigers and previews the week ahead. But first, from the Capital One studio, inside legendary Tiger Stadium, here are former Tiger Gordy Rush and the voice of your Fighting Tigers, Chris Blair.
Once again, good Monday morning. We get set for LSU football coming off the win this past weekend over Arkansas, keeping that giant golden boot right here in Baton Rouge for the fourth straight year. This coming Saturday, it'll be back at home, 6:45 under the lights in the third meeting ever between LSU hosting Western Kentucky out of Conference USA in non-conference play before finishing up the regular season in 2 weeks on the road in Norman against Oklahoma. Welcome in to the LSU press conference. Frank Wilson will join us from football operations coming up in just a little bit. Happy to have Gordy Rush with us once again this week. And Gordy, it was, we kind of talked about it on the radio. I don't think either team are going to do a ton of cut-ups for highlights. There were some big plays, but it was just a gutty win. LSU gets down early, obviously. Quickly you look up, it's 14-0. Taylon Green and Arkansas, at least early on, looked like advertised up and down the field, using the pass and the run. Great adjustments by the LSU defense. They eventually really got him uncomfortable, and I think it affected their offensive flow, and then got the points when they needed points. And we kind of talked about it last week. 33 points a game in league play for Arkansas. You got to shave some of that. LSU, 21 points a game. You got to do better than that. They were able to get both done.
Yeah, they were. Look, I think the first thing about this game is it was back to its traditional spot. The LSU-Arkansas game was the week after Alabama, and that's always been very tough on LSU for the last 10 to 15 years after the big emotional game of playing Alabama, and LSU gave Alabama their best punch. And then coming back after everything this team's been through for an 11:45 kickoff and responding to an Arkansas team that was coming off of an open date. They did get behind, but I love the way that this team played for the last three quarters of this football game. They competed and found a way to win.
Yeah, they were able to get in the end zone, and we talked about it a good bit. I'm sure fans felt the same way, that, after you get down 14-0, you want to see a little fight. And, of course, Frank Wilson has promised, regardless of the outcome of the game, his job is to get this team to fight. They certainly did, got their feet settled into the game a little bit. And then that last little sequence to end the second quarter to go into halftime. We talked last week about how it went the other guy's way the week before. And while they didn't get a touchdown, they were able to move the ball quickly, had a couple of big runs. And that was, to me, what put a smile on my face.
No.
Because we were all wondering when LSU got the ball back with, just moments remaining in the second quarter, are they going to go ahead and go into the locker room down? Do they want to try to get aggressive? They got a couple of big plays on the ground, got them up near midfield, took a shot downfield, eventually set up for Ramos to at least give them a lead. And that's a huge lift. I know they didn't get a touchdown, but the 3 points I thought were huge going into the locker room. And you could tell when Frank talked to you at the end of the second quarter.
Look, that's the way that you practice the 2-minute drill, those situations on Thursday. You run 2 draw plays, and if it clicks and you're able to get the yardage, then you go in hurry-up mode, and then you switch, and then obviously you do the things necessary to get you the kick, and which they did. Look, I thought this team did a lot of things right. It was really refreshing, again, to see the way that they fought. And then for me, we've talked about how many times on the recipe for success, Jacob Hester and I on the pregame show, that you got to be able to run the football. And LSU ran for 155 yards in this football game. That's what LSU needs to do to win in this conference.
Obviously, Harlem Berry, again, kind of set the tone, a good start, his third straight start, and he is just getting better with every single, not just every week, Gordy, but it appears every carry. And then I thought Caden Durham did an excellent job, too, had a couple of big runs as well. I just go back to the defense really. I won't say a tale of two halves because I think they really started to take control of the game down the stretch in the second quarter. But what a job. You're down there on the field. I mean, what did you see as the difference?
Well, I thought that Taylor Green was really just off schedule, and especially when you kept him in the pocket. To me, he wasn't going through his progressions quick enough. He threw some errant passes. They were able to pressure him a little bit, and he was affected for the first time, really, in league play. Notre Dame did a good job up in Fayetteville against him, but that was the best that a defense had really attacked Taylor Green. They kept him off schedule and just did enough to disrupt him. And then, of course, what can you say? Was it 2 of 11, I believe, was on third down. We had the goal line stand, the 2 interceptions, the fumble. They made winning football plays.
Harold Perkins, we joked, certainly somebody at Arkansas did him wrong, or he just doesn't like him because, we've said so many times that there are games where, maybe statistically he doesn't stand out, but he's had an impact on the game. Well, I think he did both on Saturday because he was involved statistically, as you said, had the big interception, one of the big turnovers for Arkansas. But it was almost as if even when he was close to getting home and when he got home, that seemed to, I think, affect Taylor Green. Where is number 7 pre-snap?
Well, it was enough that Bobby Petrino had to account for him, right? He had to count where he was in the block protection. And then on third down, so many times he was the guy that was spying Taylor Green. And so just by him being the spy, that they didn't do as many quarterback draws, and it forced Green to throw the football. And for LSU, that's good because you're very good in the secondary and you're getting those passes. So, look, I think his presence on the football field was absolutely huge for LSU.
DeMarcus Cooley, also a great game on the back end of the defense. Can't say enough. It seems like every week Mansour Delane just adds to his stock each and every week. Had the big interception in the end zone there. And, that's, to me, I know you look at the game and you go 23-22. I mean, my goodness, it's now an 8-game losing streak for Arkansas. What does that tell you? I thought, because of the fact, as you pointed out, they got down early, fought back. But I also thought the ability, you talked on those goal line stands. I mean, that's not something a lot of teams have done to Arkansas in the SEC. When they get inside the 10, they usually find the end zone. And LSU did an incredible job of keeping them out of there.
Like we said last week, you look at Arkansas' scoreline. I mean, they put up points. Texas A&M, 45-42. They should have beat Ole Miss earlier in the season. They were driving for the go-ahead touchdown, and they were. I think they fumbled the football, if I recall. They played great up in Knoxville against Tennessee. I mean, this is an outstanding offense. They've struggled defensively, but this is a very good offense. And if you take the special teams touchdown off the board, LSU and Blake Baker and this defense, they held Arkansas to 15 points. That's an accomplishment.
Well, we mentioned, we found out probably Friday, although we had a suspicion of which after Coach Wilson on Thursday, Gordy mentioned the fact that Garrett had re-injured that abdominal area that we'd see a lot of Michael Van Buren. As it turned out, we found out on Saturday that he would be getting the start. Your thoughts, again, on his play? I mean, I think a couple of his big runs, certainly one of the big runs, I think pretty much sealed the game. But he really had a good day, and I thought managed the offense. And one of the things Coach Wilson and I talked about Thursday night was Arkansas -6 turnover margin. LSU atop the SEC in takeaways and protecting the football. And that turned out to be big Saturday.
Turned out to be huge. Look, I thought Michael Van Buren played a nice, steady football game. He was complimented by a renewed effort to run the football. I mentioned the 155 yards. By the way, he was a part of that. I thought he had a positive 31, if I recall, somewhere in that vicinity. And I think that's huge. Anytime that your quarterback can make those plays. And, of course, on that drive to seal the football game, it was his scramble on 2nd and 16 of 30-plus yards that kind of iced the game for LSU. And, obviously, he can extend football plays, and we saw that on that touchdown pass to Sharp to get LSU the lead. His athleticism is something that certainly, I think, has helped this great receiving group. If you give those receivers more times to get into a scramble drill and break away from their primary route, they're going to find a way to make some big plays, and we saw that.
Again, I'm sure we'll hear it coming up in just a little bit. Coach Wilson, I'm sure, will be asked about the status of Nussmeier and the quarterback situation, and I'm sure whether or not he has that answer Monday, we'll have to follow that throughout the week. But I also wanted to mention before we move and turn the page to Western Kentucky, Coach Wilson, you got to love the fact, that he was super emotional and couldn't be happier for him. Picking up the first win as the interim head coach. And on top of that, he let it all hang out. I mean, you talk about the Bauer-Sharp touchdown. I mean, that drive, they pretty much said, what do we got? Go through deep in the playbook. We're going to pull some gadget plays. And a couple of times they came up big to keep that drive going.
In the flip chart, usually you have the gadget plays down in like the bottom corner, and there's like 4 or 5 of them. I think they just went off that bottom corner that entire drive. they threw everything out there. Look, I thought it was a creative series, and it was at the right time, and it helped get the crowd into the game, and eventually led to a touchdown. Kudos to Frank Wilson. It's hard to go play an emotional game like they did on the road at Tuscaloosa and come back home, not a ton to play for. It's a rivalry game, yes, but it's a game that I think Arkansas is probably held in higher higher worth than what LSU has. It's going to be a permanent one, so we're playing those guys every year. To come back and play at that level, and then for me, knowing Frank as long as I have, and to see the amount of people that came back, like a Leonard Fournette was somebody that Frank, obviously brought here. People from New Orleans, a part of this program, and what it meant for Frank, his family, and those people for Frank to get this win, his first win here in Tiger Stadium, was a special moment.
Well, again, it's the 30th meeting since they started the Golden Boot Trophy in 1996, and LSU now has held it 21 of those 30 times, and 4 years in a row it will stay and reside in football operations. Speaking of football operations, we're going to head that way in, about 8 minutes or so. Coach Wilson will talk about this past Saturday, and, of course, as he does every week, look ahead to the matchup with Western Kentucky. LSU got the win 23-22, coming from behind late in the game after struggling early on to get the win and get bowl eligible. So the Tigers now look to take on Western Kentucky. We'll find out what Gordy knows about these Hilltoppers who come in 8-2 on the season and one of the better teams out of Conference USA. We'll find out that after this quick break.
In Louisiana, we love our LSU Tigers. When the band strikes up those 4 iconic notes, the fans go wild. At Louisiana Blue, we're Tiger fans too. That's why we've teamed up with LSU Athletics to bring you the compassion of the cross and security of the shield, so you're free to wear your stripes and roar. Live Louisiana. We've got you. Louisiana Blue, Louisiana True.
Proud partner of LSU Athletics.
There was a time when a person's word was enough. A time when a handshake meant something, and integrity really mattered. For over 70 years, the values of Farm Bureau Insurance have been rooted in hard work, faith, and family. In that time, we've seen the world change in many ways. What hasn't wavered is Farm Bureau Insurance's commitment to protect our customers' way of life and serve the communities in which they live when they need us most. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at lafarmbureau.com.
Squeeze every ounce of life out of every day. Memorize every sunset, every face you love, and climb every obstacle until you can't go higher. With Louisiana Blue, you're free to soar because you've got the compassion of the Cross, the security of the Shield, and the comfort of blue behind you. Live Louisiana. We've got you. Louisiana Blue. Louisiana True.
Trust isn't given. It's earned by showing up, leading the way, and performing at your best when it matters most. Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here. Visit OLOLRMC.com/LSU. Coming up, interim head coach Frank Wilson addresses the media from football operations. This is the LSU Football Press Conference, presented by the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation. Once again, with a preview of this week's matchup, are Gordy and Chris.
Indeed, coming up in just a few moments, Coach Frank Wilson, fresh off his first win as interim head coach for the Tigers, will let us know what to expect from the Hilltoppers who come in this week. Just the third meeting all time between these two teams. In fact, pretty recent. First meeting came back in 2011. They met again in 2015. LSU won both of those convincingly. And Gordy, this is a Hilltopper team that comes in 8-2. They picked up a win over Middle Tennessee State this past Saturday. I know we briefly looked at some of the stats. They've used two quarterbacks for most of the season. But they're a team that does a lot of things well. When you look at Conference USA and look at all the statistical categories, from a team standpoint, you're going to see the Hilltoppers near the top in both offense and defense.
Look, it's number one offense, scoring offense in Conference USA. I will tell you, if you did a trivia quiz and asked me who's in Conference USA, I would struggle these days. I didn't know Middle Tennessee, New Mexico State, FIU, Delaware. I did know Jacksonville State was there because I drove by Jacksonville State this summer and didn't realize that they had made the move. So it's definitely evolved in this whole realignment of conference-wise, and it's certainly an easier path for Western Kentucky, but traditionally a solid mid-Division I program going back to when Jeff Brom was there and what have you. So this is going to be a team that can score some points.
Yeah, you and I both got to learn a lot about them, but I know Coach Wilson knows. Let's go to Coach Wilson at Football Ops.
That's it, no. Who's not here? Everybody's here. Shay's not here. In unison. Shay don't count. All right, let's dive into this. Reflection for us Mondays are about the truth. The truth was we're good enough to earn victory. And that is something that is hard to do in the SEC. And so anytime we can get a win, we're extremely excited about that because you put in the work to do so. So when I tell the story of this game, if you will, we're fired up, right, to go into Tiger Stadium to play our very best. We start off, I would say, pedestrian, right? Defense takes the field first. Our opponent goes down. We bend, but we don't break. They pick up yardage, and we end the drive with the turnover. Excited. Here we go. Offense goes to the field. We go 3 and out. Ba-boom. The worst sound you could ever want to hear as a punt unit. They block it, scoop and score. Nothing exotic, 4x4, exactly what we practice for. Don't execute. Keep our composure. Stay to the course. They then, see, y'all made me start, and there's people walking in. Ba-boom. They get it, scoop and score, 7-0. Get back on the field offensively, we don't produce. All right, before you know it, now here you go. It's 14-0, just like that. It's 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter, and we finally get an opportunity to settle in and get our feet underneath us, and we do so. We go down and answer and tie the score with a great run by Caden Durham on an outside zone play where he makes the safety miss, and now it's 14-7. Defense comes out, pick. Harold Perkins make a great pick. We get the ball back. go down and get 3, 14-10. We go back and forth, get the ball again, go back down, 14-13. And now here's what we talk about all the time, that middle 8, right? The last 4 minutes of the second and the first 4 minutes of the third, something we harp on, we emphasize, and where you steal a possession, if you will, or points. We bend again. They go all the way down to the 9-yard line or so, playing first and goal from the 9. We hold. Mansour Delane make an outstanding play in the end zone to give us the ball back. 33 seconds remaining. Call upstairs. Coach, what you want to do right now? Want to go ahead and kneel it and take it in? Absolutely not. This is a great opportunity to practice on the things that we preach. Our football team gathers themselves, and we take an opportunity to hopefully pop a run to get a 2-minute drill started. We pop a run for 10+, pop another for 10+, then you take your shot, you get a PI, take another shot, put yourself in position, and now you go down the field and 5 plays, 50+ yards, and you're facing a third down. In 10, you pick up 12 with an out cut, you catch, you get out of bounds, and now you're in position, poised. That's at 12 seconds. Now you're about 7 seconds. You kick a field goal, you take the lead 13-16. Huge for your football team as you swing momentum. You get the ball back in the third quarter, go out there, get 3 more, add to it for your football team. And so we go back and forth with this team, and then in the back end of the fourth quarter or third quarter, you mount a drive. You pull out all the tricks and gambits to give yourself a chance to win this game because it's required. And as we get down into the red zone area, their defensive end, they run a little switch game. The end jumps inside. The tackle should loop and have contained. He jumps back inside. And with Michael Van Buren, you got to be careful of that. He does that. We break containment. He finds Bauer Sharp in the corner of the end zone, and we take the lead. At this point, we know that this game is far from over. It's still very much in the balance. It's a 1-point football game. And so we have to we get the ball with 5 minutes and change, and at that point know how dangerous their quarterback is, and that we have to position ourselves to not give them the ball back. We can't afford to. We start a drive. We go down the field to help ourselves, and you're faced with a critical situation of 3rd and 4. And so you get 2+, and you play 3rd and 2 or less, we're probably going to go for it. You don't, you're probably going to kick it or not. All right, we'll see. Because at this point, with a 1-point lead, they got to come after you, and to come after you, we'll leave them vulnerable. All right, and so because if not, they go down and put you in a tough situation. Nevertheless, Harlan Berry gets the play call. It's designed to hit in between the tackles and told. If it caves inside, you'll have a one-on-one matchup with a cornerback who's going to crack replace as the receiver goes to seal the box. It'll be you and he. You'll probably be 2 yards or so at that point short of it. Go win your one-on-one. Find a way, win your one-on-one. Does an outstanding job of setting him up, jump cut, gets outside of him. But here's the critical part. At that point, we make them use their 2 timeouts before the thought process takes precedence. You win, you have to go down, because if you score with a minute something, we're currently up by 1, we'll be up by 8. They have a chance to score and, of course, go for the 2-point conversion, thus taking the game into overtime. And so a mature young runner has foresight, insight, have taken coaching, does that. He wins his one-on-one and selflessly gives up himself and his opportunities to score in the game for the good of the team. And that embodied the game. It embodied the game, and somewhere in there, I just forgot to talk about the magnificent goal line stand that I'd be remiss if I did not talk about it. that was stellar, of a defensive line that played knockback football. So proud of Tank and those guys up front that just played LSU football. What our program has been built upon for many years in style of play, of toughness, of physicality, of refuse to lose. We're denying you today in Tiger Stadium, not this day, that we're going to find a way to win this game and hoist this trophy when there's no time left. And so in the greatest formation in football, Michael Van Buren kneels down in victory to secure victory for our football team. So that's kind of a snapshot of what our game was in my mind and how it played out. So take any questions there.
Coach, I guess a lot of people have questions about Garrett Nussmeier this year. Do you think he's been compromised by this injury all year? And is he just trying to grind through it, be a leader when he played? And was he a better option, less than 100% than, say, the backup?
Yeah, I'll start with this. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see him on the sideline. I was so proud of him and his leadership and how he stood by his teammates, how he encouraged Michael through the duration of the game, as well as the entire offense and defense. He delivered in a way that was so monumental in the psyche of our team that even though he was down, he was not out. And so his contributions were significant for the morale of our football team, for the mindset of our football team. To say that he played courageously throughout the year is probably an understatement. I wasn't always privy to the injuries and the things that he was going through, but he went through a lot. He persevered through a lot. He pushed through an awful lot to give our team, himself, every opportunity to be our best. I commend Garrett for that and what he did in this year, which I thought was extremely courageous.
Hey, Frank, can you clarify, is Colin Hurley's absence permanent or temporary, and maybe whatever else you can elaborate on with his absence?
Yeah. He took a leave of personal related matters. It is temporary right now at this time.
Do you expect Garrett to dress out and compete this week?
I know he's going to want to. We're going to defer to our medical staff, our trainers, our doctors, to do what's best for him. If there's any way that he can, I know he's going to want to do so, but I don't have those answers just yet.
I get to sit in the stands with my wife and watch the game, and we're watching Harlem run the ball, and she obviously says, "Where's this guy been all season long?" Right? Could you speak to the fans maybe that don't understand the evolution that is required for a freshman tailback and kind of how it is a season-long progression?
Yeah, we kind of talked about that earlier, a couple of weeks ago maybe, about playing without the ball, right? How pivotal that is in their development, and that now, we had to protect them even early on. Running backs are naturally gifted runners, but very seldom at St. Martin's he was asked to block a 245-pound linebacker running down his throat that could have started outside and came inside, or had a mug look at one backer who pops out and he comes from the opposite way and now he has to scan back across, or to get a great pre-snap read of safety rotation to get out as an outlet, what would be a check down but now becomes a primary for the quarterback, that are critical for the success of the team. And so that development takes time, and experience is the best teacher. They have to go through it. As great as Leonard was when we played Wisconsin, I remember talking to his father, and it's like, Skip Bayless called him a bust. It's your fault. And I'm like, well, it's not my fault that Skip said that. He shouldn't have said it, and he's wrong. And as we know, he went on to become legendary and one of the greatest, in my opinion, college running backs of all time. But he wasn't ready. And so we had to play Kenny Hilliard and Terrence McGee at that time in that game. By mid-year, he was ready, and he hit full stride. and played his very best football at the back end of the season. It just takes time, and we're in the development business. This is not the National Football League. We still nurture, we still develop, we still teach, they still grow, they still ascend. People assume when they come here there's an S on their chest and we just push them out there and they go play. We're teachers. We're teachers first. And so he needed that development. He's playing his best football now. I think it'll continue in the next couple of weeks to come and on through a bowl season as his evolution comes to bear itself.
Coach, I know we're getting into some hypotheticals here, but without Nuss and without Colin Hurley, do you have a plan for an emergency quarterback behind Michael?
We do. Yeah, and so, we got a guy that went through the entire spring with us and Juwan Johnson at quarterback all the way into fall camp, who we've been constantly still working as Garrett's injury started to reveal itself even more to have an emergency plan. And we feel confident about that. We feel confident about Emil being able to step in and get us out of the game if we needed to do so. So we have a contingency plan that we feel confident in. Yes.
Just you spoke about Mansour earlier. Just what a benefit he's been to this team, I guess, if you could kind of elaborate on what he has meant to this team and how much he has improved his stock over the course of this season.
Yeah, man, we're very fortunate to have him. I spoke about him last week, about him being a man on a mission to accomplish the things that he was looking for. And there's so many things that are not statistical superlatives, if you will. The pass breakup on the sideline on the critical third down, the coming off of shedding a block off a blocker to make a magnificent cut block. The sexy one is the interception down in there, but it's play after play. It's showing up. It's turning a play back inside to set the edge of the defense to allow him or to allow us to corral and run to the ball, rally to the ball. His style of play has been superlative. I'd be shocked if he's not somewhere in the mention of SEC Player of the Week in this week, and at the back end of the year position themselves for awards for doing the things that he's doing in this season.
Yeah, Frank, just with Aaron Burrell, he had a couple of those kicks that kind of went off to the sidelines. Is there something y'all are asking him to do on kickoffs now that maybe he wasn't doing, as opposed to just booting it through the end zone like we saw so many times, I guess, last year and early on in his season? Just what do you think went wrong on a couple of those kicks?
Yeah, we're asking him to boot it in the end zone. Those are the things we're asking of him. He has the capability of doing it. He's done it sometimes with great consistency. Coming back today in the injury report and seeing our medical staff, he was bothered by an old injury that we took care of. It reared its head within the game, unfortunately. I think that could have affected his style of play. But we're not asking him. Here's what we're asking him to do. What do you do best? He shares it with us. Do that, right? And so we're putting him in position to do the things that he does best. Unless it's a situational deal. So when we score at the back end and there's 3 seconds left, of course we want him to squib it. We don't want to give him a chance to return it and have a big play unnecessarily. But outside of that, just standard operation of what he has done.
Well, what is senior day like now because of the portal? Has it changed, and is it still important? Because now you've got guys here that have been here like 1 year as opposed to in the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, so we have 28 guys that are going to participate in senior day. Don't quote me on the number, but we got quite a few of them that have been here 3 years and more. But we do have an influx of some of the guys that we've gotten out of the portal who've been here as little as a year or going on a year and change or less than. I think for those guys, they have embraced and taken in what it is to be an LSU Fighting Tiger. I think that they have adapted and are proud to be here in the things that we're doing in our culture and our way of life. I visited with all of them about how that will look for us on Saturday. They're extremely excited to partake in it because they've never done it, because wherever they left, they were still yet an underclassman. And so a little different, I think, for some. Not much different for those who have been with us for a duration of time. We'll do some creative things with these guys in the back end of this week in a celebratory manner with our football team as they take their last practice reps of a home game on that practice field and what that means and what that looks like, and build or prelude into what will be their senior day on Tiger game field as well. So I think the feeling is very much the same, that you have chills and goosebumps and excited about taking center stage in that stadium in front of 100,000 people, which we'll need, and they deserve to be able to stand in front of 100,000 Tiger fans.
You all shuffled a little bit at both offensive tackle spots. Can you explain the decision that you all made to play both when you did, and then after evaluating the film, how you thought those guys did?
Yeah, just thought those guys, asking them to play an enormous amount of reps wasn't advantageous for them or for us, that if we could split those reps in half, the idea if it was somewhere about 30-30, they could give us 30 great plays, opposed to 30 great plays and another 30 that are a tad bit under. So if they were fresh, they were engaged, and they're learning from the other while he is out there, then going onto the field would give them and give us best opportunity for production. After watching the film, you saw those things. I thought we controlled them for the most part. They had one of the most prolific defensive ends in the SEC. I thought we managed him well. He didn't just disrupt our world. And I was proud of him. I was proud of those young guys and their ability to keep them in front of them, if you will. That's the tough thing about this, right? And so we talk about the defensive ends in the SEC and how they rush the field, and they're elite, right? They're the top 5, top 10 draft picks, and they're going against a guy who's going vertically backwards, and how to get to your depth, how to counter the repertoire of things that he will do is up and under. It's in and out. It's then an ice pick. It's two-hand bob. It's bull rush. You got to be prepared for it all at any time. And so, and it's a tall task for a guy who's youthful. But I thought our guys did well. Was proud of the job that they did, and I think they'll continue to just get better. But for us in that regard, we played 70 snaps or so on offense and 50 or so on defense. Again, kind of what we have found as the sweet spot to allow us to be at our best.
I got two for you. What did it mean to have your family on the field with you after the game? Who was that young man they threw at you and then you had to catch? And then what did you see in Michael's full game? Like, now that he had the full game to work with, and where do you think he can maybe take another step here going forward?
Yeah, I thought Michael's body of work was imperfect, but yet something that we can certainly build on. Again, there were things early in the game, and it's different, right? It's always different when you are the guy that's coming off the bench. The pressure is different. The expectation is different. So for length of time, everybody in their mind want Teddy Bridgewater. Well, Teddy's not better than Drew. Sorry, Teddy. But he's not, right? Drew was the guy. But as he got older, we want Teddy, because he was the backup that came in and looked great. And so there's an adjustment from the guy that comes off the bench compared to the guy who starts and have all the monumental pressure and expectations to live up to. It was a first in Tiger Stadium for Michael, and so it took a minute for it to digest. I think he settled down well. He would want some of those throws back that he makes routinely, because we purposely didn't ask him to do anything over the top. We're going to give you simple ones, and even that, it can become challenging for you in your debut in Tiger Stadium. But I thought he finished in a flurry. I thought he was willing to do whatever it took to help us win the football game. He delivered and gave his best when his best was needed. And so proud of him and the job that he did. I had about 40 or so family members that were in town for the game, including my mother, who was in the wheelchair on the field. So it was a terrific feeling to be able to share that with the people you love. And over the years, as I've gone from state to state and coached at places, that was always the tough part. Life is grand, life is beautiful, if you can share it with the people you love. To do it by yourself and not be able to share it with people you love and for others, then it's a little different. But it hits different when you can. And so it was a great feeling at that time. That was my grandson, Makai, who they threw at me on the field, who his game plan was, Pop, we can win. All you have to do is put me in the game, right? And so so he made that known to me. So, a great opportunity and family time. Thank you for asking that.
Frank, do you expect Whit Weeks to play again this year, and could you go through an injury report from Saturday?
Yeah, boy, I sure hope he would. He makes us better. I'm respectful and understanding of his injury, of his future, and the things that he's trying to attain. I think if there's a possibility of him being able to play, he's going to position himself to do so. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened in the last couple of weeks, several weeks. We'll try again this week. Spoke with him this morning. He has a desire and a want to play and to finish in this season the way that he see fit, and we certainly want to accommodate him in doing so. Outside of that, nothing major. A couple of knickknacks here and there, bruises and things. No breaks, no tears throughout the week in this week's game.
I asked you a couple. Ramos got some SEC Player of the Week honors. He's the ultimate position to do something right, nobody remembers, right?
Yeah,
do something wrong, no one forgets. Yeah.
Yeah, so 3 for 3 in field goal attempts, perfect in PATs, and nobody says anything. He missed that one wide right. Everybody remembers it. Consistency, maturity. He's going to be a tough one to replace as he wraps up his senior year here. He has been steady since his freshman year. He is our all-time point leader. And just really proud of the job that he's done for us.
If and when you reach a bowl game, you obviously would be the head coach of that?
If I'm allowed to be, I would certainly love to be.
Got you. What would a bowl game, what does a bowl game mean to the program moving forward? Because a lot of people downplay them these days. But as the acting head coach, what do you see in that?
Oh, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for us. Anytime you're able, when you think of your program holistically and the continuous opportunity to develop your team, the longer and the more you can practice, there's development, there's engagement, there's cohesiveness that happens with your football team. And so we'd like to play into January to advance our football team, to keep the camaraderie and the building of a program that we think is on a horizon, right? At a time in year when some people are getting weary, our football team is building steam, right? And so from a week ago to this week to this upcoming week versus Western Kentucky, we're eager to play. We're chopping at the bit to get better, to prove ourselves and beyond.
Just a recruiting question. Somebody got a 5th star in New Orleans, yesterday, I guess. But just what does the victory do for you and those phone calls that, you get to make to the potential, commitments?
I think it's a big deal. You tell them just stay to the course, hang with us. You'll see the change. You'll see that we're getting better. And for young eyes, getting better is winning, right? And so they sometimes can't see the gains that the team is making in and sometimes they can, in effort and style of play versus said opponent. But when you win, they remember that. It makes them feel good. And so they identify improvement with winning. And so to have a win on Saturday was a big deal for our football program. It was a big deal for those guys who are committed to us. Kind of allows them to stick their chest out and hold their chin up high. We're back. Okay, you saw that, huh? And so they were ecstatic when we talked to them. Yeah, they're a good football team, 8-2. A gun and fun and raid offense that throws it all over the field in various formations, a quarterback that's dynamic in his own right. You look at it against Louisiana Tech, I think he had 12 for 80 yards in rushing. He can spin it. And again, when you talk about the air raid offense and all of those guys that come off of that lineage, it's always difficult because they go with great speed. They give you exotic looks, and they throw it all over the yard. And so our discipline, our eye discipline on defense will be critical for us. They have a really good running back who's rushed the ball well for them, and two dynamic receivers. Defensively, they're multiple, right? They're a 3-4 defense that turns into 3-2 defense, that turns into bear defense, that turns into all these variations of things that you will have to prepare for. There will be a challenge for us from a defensive standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, because we've had challenges with variation and movement up front. And so to be on point this weekend will be critical for our success, just to get a hat on a man. And I think if we do that, we'll have the success that we're looking for. But they're a talented football team with a great young staff that's doing a good job for them. Thank you all. How come y'all didn't come?
Coach Frank Wilson with this week's LSU football press conference. As you heard, the quarterback situation, we'll monitor that as we move along throughout the week. May get an update on Thursday on what the plan is going into the matchup with Western Kentucky. Also, a few more news and notes we'll pass along in just a little bit. We'll take our final break, come back, and wrap it up after this.
What a matchup we've got, folks. Just nonstop action. The energy is electric, and the fans are all in. An intense game like this calls for a Coca-Cola. Crisp and refreshing. That's a game changer. Yeah, that taste scores every time. And just like that, they're back at it. Passionate fans and an ice-cold Coca-Cola. Now that's a winning combo. No matter the team, no matter the sport, everyone knows fan work is thirsty work. Enjoy a Coca-Cola.
There was a time when a person's word was enough. A time when a handshake meant something, and integrity really mattered. For over 70 years, the values of Farm Bureau Insurance have been rooted in hard work, faith, and family. In that time, we've seen the world change in many ways. What hasn't wavered is Farm Bureau Insurance's commitment to protect our customers' way of life and serve the communities in which they live when they need us most. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at lafarmbureau.com.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA, is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families, and one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
LSU Tiger fans are gearing up with real Tigers apparel and merchandise from the official online store at lsushop.net. Get jerseys, sideline gear, polos, t-shirts, hats, official team merchandise from Nike, accessories, and much more. Over 3,600 products, all shipped right to your door. Head to the place real Tiger fans go for the selection only real Tiger fans get at lsushop.net.
Wrapping up this week's LSU football press conference, presented by the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation. But first, with some final news and notes, here again, Chris Blair.
Indeed, wrapping it up here on this Monday, Coach Wilson talking a lot about what he loved from this past Saturday in the fight in his Tigers in the 23-22 win over Arkansas. And you could tell by his statements going into the matchup out of conference against Western Kentucky, it once again will be all about LSU, their plan, their preparation, and their execution. Coming up on Thursday night, Coach Wilson will be live at TJ Ribs. The LSU football radio show will start at 7 o'clock, all brought to you by FMOL, Our Lady of the Lake Health, and hope to see you there. If you can't, tune in all across the state on the radio station of your choice, or you can stream it for free live with the LSU Sports mobile app and at lsusports.net. It's a 6:45 kickoff this Saturday. We'll get things cranked up with LSU game day at 4:45. It'll be Hunt Palmer, Marlon Favorite, Brandon Taylor setting the table. Jacob Hester, Gordy Rush, two great Tigers will join me from inside Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night in Death Valley for Western Kentucky and LSU meeting for just the third time in football history. This note, the SEC announced that the regular season finale for your Tigers coming up a week from this Saturday, a little less than 2 weeks from today. It will be LSU and Oklahoma in Norman at 2:30 Central Time. The decision on whether it will be on ABC or ESPN will come next week. But we do know they'll be kicking off around 2:30 in LSU and Oklahoma to end the regular season. That'll wrap things up for us here on this Monday. Thanks to Gordy Rush. Thanks to you for tuning in. Join us next Monday for the LSU football press conference.
This has been the LSU Football Press Conference, presented by the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation. For the very latest on LSU Fighting Tiger football, follow the Tigers on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and anytime at lsusports.net.